Wednesday. I'm Taylor Chandler, licensed marriage and family therapist, personal development coach. I have a special guest for us tonight. His name is Michael Seville. I'll bring him in just a few minutes. Y'all. He left a comment on one of my reels that I thought was important to bring him on. I invited him on to talk about something that I think is more prevalent than people realize. And I think it's one thing for me to talk about it. It's another thing for people who are in the field and who are seeing what's going on to talk about it. I think that's really, really important. Hey, y'all, welcome in. Good evening. Good evening. I'm looking forward to our conversation tonight. We have a special guest named Michael. I know he is in the room already. A couple of announcements, y'all. I have so many lives and so much content coming up. It's crazy. It's very exciting. First, I want to say this. I appreciate all of the comments and messages. At this point, y'all, there's so many comments I can't keep up. And I really appreciate the encouragement and the support. Seriously, it really does go a long way. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody that joined the first YouTube live yesterday, which I would say was a success with Vernique Esther, licensed clinical social worker. We did that last night, first live, on YouTube, which was exciting. I think there were like 120 people consistently in the room, which was really great. We had new members join. Exciting. I appreciate y'all supporting the channel. It's a good time and it's only going to get better. There is so much more to do. We have hardly scratched the surface. Y'all. I am going to bring Michael on. Is there anything else I want to tell you? Yeah, YouTube membership, there's a $5 tier and a $10 tier. You can already see the content that's up there. Even if you don't want that extra content, it's a way for you to support the channel, which I really appreciate. Is there anything else before we get started? I don't think so. Let's get into it and bring Michael on. First up, I'm going to read his bio for you. I want you to know who he is before I bring him on. Michael, I see your request. Michael Seville is a Palm Beach, Florida-based real estate professional serving Northern Palm Beach County. He's been a licensed agent for nearly a decade and was investing in real estate before becoming an agent. He knows what's going on. He works directly with buyers and sellers and continues to own investment property himself. As a present father of 2 boys, ages 15 and 4, he believes ownership is one of the most important financial decisions a person can make. His perspective combines real world experience with a practical understanding of today's housing market. Now, why am I bringing a real estate professional on this channel? I'm going to play the reel for you that he responded to right after I bring him on. Michael. Hello. Good evening.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
I I can hear your dog for sure.
She does this every time I come on live. It's embarrassing. She always does that. Right? She be quiet all day long. Right when I start working, I'm telling you, it goes off.
They just know. They
They
know.
just know she likes attention. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. This is towards the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Went to the gym and got a workout,
Excellent.
and so now ready to get on this. This almost feels like Toastmasters. So I'm
Ooh.
excited that you brought me on. Probably shouldn't have watched your live yesterday. People, if you didn't check out the live yesterday that you had and having the conversation and being open to all the views. And I promise you, I'll stay out of the comments as well, because I don't know if I can keep a straight face like you can in the comment section.
The comments really get wild. I haven't looked back at the comments on the video, but I'm looking forward to actually looking at it. I had so many comments going on, it's hard to reply to all of them. So now,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to seeing how people took that live last night. I thought it was a good conversation for many different reasons. So go ahead.
I was gonna say I was gonna turn it off if the patriarchy was mentioned, but it wasn't mentioned,
It was
so
not mentioned.
I
It
was
was not.
able, so I watched the entire thing, and it was an awesome conversation between that young lady and
Mhm.
yourself. Both had different, have their points of views and interpretation of the data. We're all here to collaborate and help and see where we can go with our community. I don't know if is there feedback on your side or is it just me?
No, can hear you clearly.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, here to collaborate and help. And that's what you're here to do
Yeah,
tonight, you to add to the conversation, which I appreciate. We need the helpers to step up and start speaking because we've had a whole lot of people that aren't very helpful that have been speaking for a while now. And so
mhm.
I want to talk to some people who can actually help. I'm going to play the reel that you responded to that moved me to invite you onto this live. Y'all, I'm going to play it through my other phone. I'm gonna play it through my phone. Bear with me because we're not on StreamYard, so I can't upload it onto Instagram. But I want y'all to hear what this reel had to say and why Michael responded the way he did. So let me turn it off. Let me take off my Bluetooth. When it starts playing, y'all just somebody drop a yes in the comments so I know that you can hear it. This quite frankly crass attitude that Black women in general have about being the most single and the most overweight is, in my opinion, more alarming than the stats themselves. Who gives a F? You should give an F. And I'm going to give you one reason why, among many, which I will be reporting on shortly. One big reason has to do with money and the life that will go on as you age. Black women, single, college educated, at age 60 and older, carry a median wealth of $11,000. In contrast to Black married women, $424,000. White unmarried women, $384,000. That's how it's laid out, y'all. So what does this mean? Simply put, it means you will age poor. You are not going to have any money. So the life that will go on is going to be rougher than you think, and more people are going to be crying than you'll admit. This careless and quite frankly crass. Careless, crass attitude. That's what I said. So we have there's a careless and crass attitude because what someone responded to my reel, which I think most people have seen probably at this point, the Black women are the most single and most overweight reel. That's just a fact that a lot of people just know, whether you've seen my reel or not. So Black women are the most single and most overweight. Got a response that said, "Who gives a F, sis? Life goes on." I said, "You should give an F because Black women age 60 and older, single and college
Oh,
educated,
yeah.
have a median wealth of $11,000. That's the summary, y'all. And this is what you said, Michael. You said, because someone had said, like, they're putting on in front, like there's some, like they're putting on a front. So you said it's not an act. That's what, like, people are putting on an act. You said it's not an act until 60 to 70 hit, talking about age. I can't tell you the amount of single women I have personally worked with that can't voluntarily stop working, strained relationships with their children, and just cry when you have to sell your house because life has become unaffordable. It gets real. May the Most High bless us all. Michael, it's dramatic, but it's real.
And he continues to bless us.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely with a lot of the work that you've been doing, I've been seeing it. And it's interesting when you shine a light on a demographic that hasn't been corrected in a long time, right? There's certain demographics, there's certain organizations, there's certain things that have not been corrected. And when you do correct it, or not even correct it, just bring out the information to say, okay, this is what's going on. You're met with, possible canceling. You're talking about. I remember I put a post in about divorce at one point in time, and they said, "I can't believe anybody would buy a house from you. Like who?" And they started
No,
going. Go ahead.
Michael, I when I posted, and we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of the real estate in a moment, but right now we're just talking about essentially the hostile climate
Yeah.
that we have right now, to where the truth is basically an antagonist to people, particularly Black women, and it's really unfortunate. And I think honestly, Black people, because this has been a conversation on the page today, Black people just have can have an issue with kind of the correction and adjustment. So we're going to talk about, which right now we're just talking about the climate, y'all, and then we'll get into the specifics about real estate. But honestly, Michael, when I put up even the thumbnail for the live today, it'll say, do you want to tag or collaborate? I said, I'm not going to collaborate. I'm going to just tag you because I thought he might not want this on his page because I'm not sure how that might affect your business. But can you actually just speak to that? Like what, I mean, you have clearly some views that might be not accepted, right? In your space. How are you managing this? You're coming on here. You obviously are a real estate agent. Do you have any concerns about talking about this and how it'll affect business?
I think when you have such compassion and empathy and love
Mm-hmm.
for people in general, specifically, we'll talk about our culture. And I almost bought my eighth grade report that I did on Malcolm X. This is '92. Malcolm X, we weren't talking about him as much as we do now. It wasn't allowed in that kind of way. So I have so much love for my people. I don't mind putting the information out there. Now, how you want to interpret the information, and if you want to put that as a strike against me, more power to you. I honestly feel sorry for you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we can get into real estate when we talk about it. I mean, in 2017, when I got my license, this is after, I've been a homeowner since I was 19 or 20, right? Went to college in Tallahassee, bought a home out there, Killarn Acres. That probably was my first home, in collaboration with the young lady I was seeing at the time. So I want that to be known. Um, Now, in 2017, when I got my license, the first thing a lot of brokers are going to tell you to do is to go after, your first time home buyers, right? And that seemed to be a lot of the people that were in my circle. So I
Mm-hmm.
was shouting it from the rooftops, especially in 2017, 2018, low interest rates. Uh, Properties were the average property in Palm Beach County was around 270,000. I think at 270,000 nationally, and it was around that in Palm Beach County. Single family homes. I mean, it was an awesome environment to buy properties, and some people did. Um, but after you're in business for a while and you're doing the research, and I remember telling someone in 2022, they were like, "How do you know all this stuff about these demographics?" I'm like, "It's my business to know." You start to find out that there's the value system of people is kind of different. And so if you can either go and deal with what this red ocean strategy, like dealing with people, fighting for, first time home buyers and then having to educate them, or you can find people who are already
Mm-hmm.
buying properties, and this is a part of their value system. And they
So
go ahead.
where do black, like let's talk about black culture for black community real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Where do you think the priority generally falls when it comes to home ownership?
I would say that after just doing some of the research at that time, and even now, you'll see a lot of black women, they do believe
Mm-hmm.
in home ownership, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it's interesting because some are doing it, they're saying to create legacy or whatever, and I don't want to speculate on exactly why they do it. I would tell you that home ownership is probably the biggest financial purchase that most people make, and it's largely emotional, right? There's a lot of emotions attached to it, but there's also status attached to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see a lot of black women who are saying, "I want," it's a status symbol to say, "I own a home."
Okay.
Perfectly fine and okay.
Do you,
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna real quick. Do you think that in general we get with just your clients, because we're gonna make it really clear this is your experience and if people can
Yeah,
have
yeah,
different
yeah.
experiences, and we gotta make all these disclaimers at this point, y'all. The interview,
It's
okay?
almost like,
This is Michael talking about what Michael has seen, okay? But from your experience, Michael, do you think that when black women are buying a home, are they in from your estimation, secure financial position to do it, or does it seem more like a status symbol and not without having the finances to really like to take on all the responsibilities of home ownership? What do you think?
Absolutely. Well, since 2008, 2010, it's a lot more restricted as to like who can just go and buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to buy a property, yes, you would have to have some type, your debt to income ratio would have to be on point. You'd have to have the proper income, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So they are in the position to it, but now the leverage, because when you get an FHA mortgage, which most of them are going to qualify for, or some of them, not most of them, because there's a lot who don't qualify. If you look at one of the barriers to entry is the college debt. When you start to hear a lot about,
That's big.
yeah, when you start to hear a lot about the educated college graduate black female, it often comes along with debt as well,
Black
right?
women do have the highest amount of student debt. And Bruce, real quick, can you tell people what the FHA mortgage is?
Okay, so the FHA mortgage is it's really it's not it's kind of gauged as a first time home buyers thing, but it's really like Fannie Mae. So these are government kind of backed loans that have to meet a certain criteria.
Mm-hmm.
The debt to income ratio tends to be higher, meaning that you can have about, your income has to, they'll figure it out 100% of your income minus 50% of your debt, right? So then it's a whole calculation.
Mm-hmm.
But what it does is it allows you to buy a property if you can afford it up to 50%. And
Mm-hmm.
that's really teetering. I mean, when you're talking about if we get into financial literacy, they really say that your home should probably be around 30%. Like that kind of gives you breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough because when you just look at the average income of both black and males individually, you'll see the black women are around 44,000, 45,000. Black males are around 52,000. Like that's, and then when you look at the median income overall, it's like 55,000. This comes a lot because they're separated. So so because this,
Michael,
because, go
whoo,
ahead.
we got five, we blowing up the whole. We got so many different problems on the table right now. We got so many
Yeah.
different problems on the table right now because I'm hearing you highlight because we're not coupling. We've got less money. That's simply what you're saying. We're not coupling, so we have less money.
You have less money, and even if you are able to buy a property or
Mm-hmm.
get into a property, think about the stress you have
Right.
in regards to the bills. And you're always, when we look at what is the national average, like 60% of people are like a week away, right?
Mm-hmm.
One paycheck away from total disaster. So now we haven't
Fine.
even
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we're not talking about death, and these are the things that trigger movement, death, divorce. I'm gonna tell you what's a big family court, right? A lot of men. Go ahead.
Michael, you wait. Hold on. You go. You do it.
Am I going fast? I'll
You
slow
going
down a
you
little
going
bit.
so fast. I'm gonna back us up because you start bringing on my family core. It's gonna get really. We got a lot to. There's a lot to say. But
Right,
what
right.
I appreciate is you have a breadth and a depth of knowledge. So you're covering a lot of ground right now. But I'm gonna back us up
Go
to
ahead, go ahead.
to this part about when you start talking about leverage because you're saying
Mm.
some, not necessarily most black women we're talking about it particularly because that's what the reel was about. That's what you commented on.
Yeah, yeah.
Some, not maybe not most, not all are able to qualify for the FHA mortgage. Okay. But then you start talking about leverage. Like you're like, okay, yeah, you're in the financial position to qualify in order to get the house. And then like what might happen next?
So now let's think about this. Let's say you do qualify for a home and
Mm-hmm.
you meet that and you kind of push it to actually having that 50% of your income automatically coming out. I'm in South Florida. Over the last 3-4 years, we've almost doubled, right? We've doubled the house prices that have almost doubled. I think it's like, it's insane. So let's just say your entry point townhome is going to be around 250 to $300,000, right? A lot of us buy single townhomes, And so you get, because it's an entry point. It's a great way to get into the property. So your mortgage, let's say 250 to 300,000, is going to be around 1800 dollars. We haven't added in taxes. We haven't added in insurance. We haven't had added in HOA, right? So now you have your homeowners association. So now you're probably looking at around 23 to 2400 bucks, right? A month.
Okay.
And you're just able to afford it. Now, when you first buy that property, your taxes are going to be based on, the last homeowner's taxes. But the next year,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna it's gonna go higher because it's gonna be based upon what was bought within that last year. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of reels, you'll see a lot of people like, I just got my new mortgage, and they'll escrow your information. They'll say, I just got my new mortgage, and man, my payment went up 400 bucks.
Mm-hmm.
You were barely able to qualify initially for the 3 to 4, for whatever you got, and maybe it was good, but now you're having another 300 to 400 bucks coming out of your paycheck.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
now think about, what does your savings look like if you do this, right? And then this is where we'll get to this point about, by the time it's time for you to retire or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what is your savings doing? Since 2000, I think it's 2020 or 2022, the average salary went up, I think, 20%,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay.
Whereas the housing market went up 50 to 60% across the board. I'm not talking about in the hot, in these hot places. South Florida, probably Atlanta, Georgia is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, California, etc. But just across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So when you just think about what your salary's not going up as much, right?
Okay.
We haven't even spoke about the government layoffs, right? We haven't even spoke
Michael,
about those.
Michael, you giving us a lot right now. We got family court in the wings. We got government layoffs in the wings, but we're tracking. Keep going.
Yeah, and so you got to think about the kind of pressure one would put on themselves
Okay.
if they really don't understand what this is. Like we talk about homes as investments, but like it's an illiquid asset. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
you go to take money out of it, right, you're more than likely going to be charged. If you go to sell it, there's still fees in order to sell the property. You're talking about 10 to 12%. So when you think about the type, your home oh man, Instagram is going to cut me off. Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, don't cut him off. Don't cut him off. We need
When
it.
it comes up, because I put a timer on myself so I'm not doom scrolling all the time.
Perfect.
Um, but when you think about, so just think about, and this is just adding up. Then you do have people who go back and refinance all the time.
Uh
Like, I'm
huh.
able to see this stuff. Like, I don't think a lot of people know
Yeah, tell
how
us,
much,
Michael. What's it?
right, how much access we have
Uh huh.
to exactly what's going on. And it may not be the exact estimates, but we know, right, as a professional.
And real
You
quick, give the
Go ahead.
keyword. Like, tell the people in a nutshell, what does refinancing mean when someone's going back and refinancing their home?
So refinancing, which probably would have been if you bought the home in 2017, right? Um, and then your home, oh, and you bought, especially if you bought it with me, right? And then your home appreciates a certain amount.
Uh huh.
You're able to take out a loan, probably up to around 70 to 75% of the property, or you can even take out a line of credit
Okay.
against the property. So you can take out a line of credit against the property. You can, which is it's almost like a second mortgage, or you can just refinance the mortgage altogether, and then you can cash out. You can take cash out. So now you'll see, like, man, how is this person affording some of these trips? Or
Hold up, hold up, hold on, hold on a second. Hold on.
go
This is
ahead,
very important. This is very
go ahead.
important. Can you tell us who's doing the refinance? Like who might be doing that strategy? Who might be doing that strategy of going back refinancing the home, maybe even on several occasions?
I think we all do. Yeah, I'm gonna say we all do. However, if you're like some things just kind of don't add up, right? So when you start to see the trips, the cars,
Hmm.
you start to see like these things are happening, and there's nothing wrong with it. Across all demographics, most people do it, but just know, you say all lives matter.
I appreciate the graciousness of the guests that I've had on. Are so gracious. You all are.
No, no,
You know, I get it. I'm
no,
also quite polite.
because yeah. Anyway, so essentially, so we're refinancing our properties, right?
Hmm.
And we're specifically talking about single independent females, women who buy the properties. Okay. So if you refinance the property, what happens is, but this stuff catches up. Like if you want to redo your property, say you got into a property, it's time to, women tend to want to redo the kitchen, redo bathrooms,
Hmm.
so on and so forth. Most men who buy properties, like we're going to take it as is for the most part. Like, and there's a difference between male buyers and especially men. Men, we tend to actually delay
Right.
buying
So
homes. Go ahead.
just to be clear, so everybody, not everybody refinances their home, but of course, every group, there are people that refinance their homes. Do you notice any? Or is it just sort of like it's all truly about equal? Like it's all about equal across the board. No real spikes to see here.
Yeah, I would say in regards to refinance our properties, it's probably in my experience, it's on par, right?
Okay,
In my experience, it's on par.
good, good,
Um,
good,
yeah,
good. Because
uh,
I thought you were going to say something else. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought you were going to say something else. Because you started talking about the trips and stuff. I thought you were going to say something else. But I'm glad to hear it's about equal across the board.
right.
I think that's important to have a clear narrative.
Yeah, yeah. Where do you want me to go here?
You said so much. I think one thing you said kind of in a nutshell, and I want to know if I'm hearing you right, right? It's there are there is getting the home, and then there's everything that comes after the home. And it seems like the barrier to entry is is obviously not so high to where it's just not possible. It's happening. I mean, fewer people are getting homes than they were before, but also people can still get homes, right? And people can still qualify for what they right. Like it's still happening. Like right, like
Yeah,
black women
people.
still
Yeah,
buy homes.
yeah.
But then there is a load on the back end, like you started to describe, for example, the taxes that can increase,
Taxes.
right? The load that comes after is Michael, are you frozen? Oh no. Oh no. It might kick him out and have him come back on. Are y'all frozen too? What are we doing here? Or can y'all see me? Can you hear me? Okay. But Michael is frozen, right? Is he frozen? Instagram be messing with me. Instagram is messing with me. Okay, you hear me? He's frozen. We'll see if he can. Let me send him a little note real quick. Oh, Michael's giving us a lot of information. Are y'all tracking? Are there questions that y'all have for? He's giving a lot of information. He should be popping back on here in just a second. Okay, man. Okay, we're back. So
We are back.
I'm wondering essentially in a nutshell, it seems like someone can get into buying a home and then are people ill prepared, or do you think they're adequately prepared for what happens next? So obviously these things can happen next, right? Like there's costs can increase after the fact, Are you finding that black, let's say black men and black women, black people, are we prepared for that?
I would say, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I would say that most women are not prepared for what comes with home ownership. It's not renting. You still have to, we're talking about maintenance. We're saying that roofs need to happen. So once again, if you're getting in, and if you look at the numbers, I think it's like 33% of single black women are buying homes. Like they are buying homes, but once you get in, there's certain maintenance, there's certain things that also come along with it.
Mm-hmm.
So possibly lack of education, not really totally understanding it. Um, that happens. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you said that black women are less prepared for those things than black men. Why do you think that is?
Once again, black men don't, we tend to delay ownership, right? Like most black men, like they're totally happy renting and,
Hmm.
living in or not buying that trophy property, right? If I can get into something where it's just okay for myself, a one bedroom, a two
Yeah.
bedroom, salary really has to be on point. It's almost, I don't want to say it's twisting their arm, but a lot of them have to be, they really have to want it.
And
And
I think that that's interesting, and I'm curious to know your thoughts around this because this I'm truly just asking your like personal thoughts about that in this question I'm about to ask you. Because from my experience, both in personal life and professionally, what I hear from clients and what I literally have heard from people in real life. Okay, I want to know what you think about this. Does it seem to you? Because let me just say what I'm about to say. Because I gotta start just saying stuff. But I be scared of the internet too. I be scared of how I'm about to frame stuff too. It's people are hostile. But it's like it seems like women tend to put a lot of value on the man owning a home, having property. Is that something that only I'm hearing in personal professional life, or are you hearing that from people as well? What do you essentially saying? Does it seem that like women need the man to have property to kind of have that status symbol that he is secure and stable? Because what I'm getting at is a conflict if women are wanting a man to have a property to show that stability and security and that there's somewhere that she can come into. But if men are delaying that process and are okay with just let's just call it a bachelor pad for the purpose of the conversation. Um, do you see any, like, I'm kind of just saying it's a conflict. I guess I'm just wondering what you think about what I'm saying.
so what I heard was, so what I heard was, um, women want a man to have certain assets and things. I guess
Right.
that's like a plus. They would consider that like, and absolutely right when we started talking about safety and wanting a person to, I would agree that that's it. However, they're not in this day and age, in my experience, they're not waiting in order for a man to have those things. They're going to
Mm.
more than likely have it themselves if they can.
Right.
And if their partner,
Hmm.
you're right, they're not their husband. If they're in a relationship with a partner, um, and they want a property, more than likely he's going to have to put in, right? He's going to have to at least gift the down payment,
Mm.
right? And moving that now. So now, if you want, and this leads into something interesting, and I definitely want to touch on this part right here
Okay.
because we talk about this 30% of specifically single women who are own properties, they're homeowners,
Mm-hmm.
okay, which is one of the fastest rising groups. Okay,
Mm.
so how do they become homeowners? Okay,
Okay.
some of them, not all,
Yeah. We got
not
so many
all.
disclaimers.
Some of you are balling out of control. I know, right? Like the numbers don't say as many of you are. However,
I knew you were going to say something like that, Michael. I knew you had a little bit of that in you.
Right. The numbers don't state it, but this is fine.
Uh huh.
They have partners who are may not necessarily be able to qualify for the
Mm-hmm.
loan with them, but
Mm-hmm.
they are being gifted down payments. That part of some of the FHA and really there's a some mortgages or some mortgage products that will actually pay 100% of it. Like you can actually go to closing and get money, but for the most part, most people you got to come up with around 3.5%. Right,
Mm-hmm.
that's what most mortgage products are going to ask you for. Where is this 3.5% coming from? If you have all these things happening, so you do see partners, and I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
They may not necessarily take a picture, right? We do our picture taking. They may not necessarily be in the picture, but there are. Go ahead.
They don't get to be in the picture.
They may not be in the picture, right? But they are taking out. They are helping in order to get into
That's
the property. Because
okay.
that three and a
Yeah.
half percent, if you're buying a $300,000 house, you got to have your down payment and closing costs, right? So now we're
Yeah.
talking around 10 to 15, possibly $20,000. Most people don't have that when they're getting into a property. So where is this down payment coming from,
This is
right?
this
And
is an interesting conversation.
and if your parents and in other communities, parents are gifting it. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to my mother. My very first home, she actually helped me out with that.
Mm.
Mother and father, both awesome individuals.
That's awesome.
um,
We need more of that.
but as we start, I mean, you're thinking if you're 30, 35 years old, you want a property, and you don't have the 15 to 20,000, that might be a barrier to entry as far as down payments are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
We as an agent, we may be able to get the closing costs paid for, but there's only up to a certain amount depending on the program.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got your down payment. You got to have it, right? But this is part of, for the most part, this is how you typically going to get it. So you do have partners who are contributing that they probably were living with prior to going into this property. Now, here's some interesting stuff, and this absolutely shocked me. Right
Go
when
ahead, Michael. I got you. You making me really think about a lot of things. Go ahead, Michael. I'm listening.
this part shocked me around 2017, 2018, and I remember telling people like, "Yo, this is interesting."
Mm-hmm.
If a woman is able to qualify for the loan on her own, right? And maybe the partner can't because of credit issues, possibly so anything, right? The debt to income might not be on point. They can still contribute, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they're not on the loan. If the
Okay.
woman qualifies for the loan, to where your name is just on the loan now, and this is partners, not husband and wife, although that's also interesting as well. Almost there's some type of hotline. 9 out of 10, right? 9 out of 10, they when it's time to figure out who goes on the deed,
Yes, I'm one. Go ahead.
they will exclude the partner from the deed. Like you will get a phone call from the title company. The title company sends you a list of stuff of how do you want your name written on the deed, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You may get a phone call to specifically say, do not put this person on the deed. I've seen when a wife qualified for the loan, they said, I do not want my husband on the deed. Although in the state of Florida, it's probably more than likely going to be looked at as a marital asset if you bought it within the marriage. Talk to your lawyer,
Yeah.
prenups.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to get. By the way, attorneys. I need you on here, attorneys. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
please, attorneys.
Definitely talk to the attorneys, but they will exclude it. So think about this: if you are excluded from the deed and you're just the partner, right, or
Huh?
you all are when if anything happens, like you have to go, right?
It's not funny. It's not funny.
You can get evicted. Like there's your contribution means absolutely. You could even get on there and you'll contribute towards the mortgage. Like, and I want because I heard a guy that you interviewed a couple of days ago. Like, I want us to really go in and even last night, some of the things that were said last night, that we talk about love and emotions. Like
Yeah.
you'll hear a lot of women talk about love and emotions, But when financially, women tend to be pretty savvy. Okay, most people, especially when you're a first time home buyer, nobody knows about these things. But I'm almost certain there's a hotline that a woman calls and they're saying, well, you need to do this. Like you need to do that. Now,
Can
convert I want real quick, conversely,
uh-huh.
men actually go out of their way to put their partner on the deed. You got to think if something happens to you or your partner or whatever, and you all bought this property together, if something were to happen, death, which is going to happen to us all,
Mm-hmm.
and your name is not on the property, now we have to probate this property,
Tell
right?
them what
You
it is.
Probate means that you're going to have to go to court, and you're going to have to it's going to have to go to, normally if you on the deed correctly, you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of just absorb the property all it's as quickly as just a couple, it's a signature, you go down there. But if you have to probate the property, now this has to go up in the probate court, right? You're going to have to hire somebody to say this is what's going on, and more than likely it's not going to go to you. If you have a child, it'll probably go to the child. It's going to go to the next of kin, right? So now you may have to battle a parent. You could somebody next to kin, a brother, whoever it is. You have to come to some form of agreement to say, okay, well, I'm living this property, and that's even if they want that to happen, right? So it ends up becoming it can become a whole mess. Excuse me, go ahead.
You put there's a lot of
This
information you're putting out
right,
there for you.
buying a home it's huge. Like when it used to
It's huge. But I have a question. Go back to when you said 9 out of 10 times. What were you talking about? You said 9 out of 10.
you if you because most people don't know, like if you're helping somebody buy a house, this is the first time that you're
Oh,
going.
wait. I'm gonna probably cut you off real quick. Are you saying 9 out? Because if this is real, I want to say it and see
In
if
my experience,
are you saying your experience 9 out of 10 times? Are you saying that a man who put money on the down payment doesn't know he's left off the deed? 9 out of 10. Michael, are you serious? Nine out
I
of 10. Like
if the woman can qualify
for the loan.
for the loan without her partner, right? Without her partner or husband, it kind of doesn't matter. Like I've had a wife call in and say, I don't want my husband on the loan, right?
This is happening like under the table.
This is the conversation you're gonna have. It shocked me, right? And this may be the first time you've heard this, but and this is and I would say that this is specifically in our community, and 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 I'm gonna say this, and it came as I was thinking about this stuff. I was like, there's a huge there's a trust thing going on, right? And I don't even want to get into how we got here. It's here.
You mean trust like not in the legal? You mean trust just like what? Trusting you to do right by me. That's what you like and trust. Like, are you talking about like a
I
legal
don't, I don't, I don't, I don't even think most men it even crosses their mind. And it's
that
been
they wouldn't be on the deed? Like, there's an assumption that we're doing
there's
this.
it's almost like that that put away fund that we have in our community for the women, where they have a certain account that possibly the man doesn't know about. So it's similar to that if they qualify for a loan. This is just this is in my experience. I've never seen it. Whereas conversely,
Uh-huh.
the man goes out of his way to put the woman on, because more times than not, the man is gonna, if they're together, men tend to buy homes with their wife, right, or their partner. And even if it's just their partner, they will put their partner on the deed, because it's a question. How do you want, how do you want, whose name do you want on the deed? How do you want the deed to be written? This is one of the things that the title company tells you about. So they will go out and they say, yeah, she didn't necessarily, you got to give him his
Yeah, because Austin's coming to the door.
attention.
She's about to go. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So because that
Well, let's see. Let's to be fair, because I know I saw a comment that says something like this, that it happens to women too. I'm going to read it. This person said, I'll screenshot it in case I put it in the video. It happens to women too. I've had many girlfriends out of money towards a down payment, closing costs, etc., and they don't get on the deed. Is that what? Have you seen that as well? And like, to what would you say? How does that compare to what you described happens when men are left out the deed?
what was the comment exactly?
Basically, she said, well, it happens to women too. Women put up money.
Absolutely. Like, of course, it's
Okay.
gonna. My group did a
Is it
hundred and.
9 out of 10 times? You think?
This is a woman more than likely is not going to put the man on and it's just the way it is, right?
No, no.
Like, go ahead.
When the let's make sure we got the question right.
Right, right.
It does it
She's saying when the women contribute towards a down payment, but the man can qualify for the loan. I haven't seen it.
okay.
Matter of fact, there's one instance. I'll
One instant.
there's one instance, and this couple was married. So it kind of doesn't make a difference. So when he did it, I'm just like, when I saw that this had come across, I'm just like, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter, if you're married. It's in the state of Florida. It's
She
unless
would, she would get it anyway.
right, there's prenup going on. Like they're gonna add all this stuff up when you buy it. But he felt it necessary for it to be as such. And I'm not, I can't. I try not to get too deep into relational problems.
Very.
But I to to whoever it was, the young lady, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure
Hmm.
that those things occur. Yeah,
Yeah, it
absolutely.
does. So it happens. It just
But
hasn't been
but
anywhere near.
yeah, not like I've seen. You know what I mean? And
But
and and and,
you
and
are,
to be
I like you. I like, Michael, that you just giving us the facts, and it's funny, but it's not funny. Like, it's not. This is not funny. This is a real. This sounds like a problem.
we don't because and I tend
And
to
women.
listen to this generational wealth stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And I like to compare things to like the American there's the American illusion and the American dream. Okay. What works still and always does, I'm probably in an upper middle class neighborhood. Okay. So, and I'm probably the only one here. No, there's two of us, right? It's me and Carl, who are males and single. I have a family. I have two sons. So it's a little different between me and Carl. White male and is 60, he's 65. I was like two property shares. Well, anyways, long story short,
Uh-huh.
it's still like the American dream is real.
Okay.
Two, and especially now more so than ever. If because it's crazy now. Two income household,
Mm-hmm.
everyone collaborating, everyone cooperating in order to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
My neighbor to one side, she's a dentist. So when we start talking about schooling, we're talking about this. Her and her husband, she does everything that he does.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there's no difference on the other side, and she's Spanish. The other side, they're Indian. Same thing, right? He kisses his wife off. She goes to work. He works from home. They're
Mm-hmm.
all doing lawn work. They're all doing everything it is in order to make things successful.
I have
The
a feeling I
American
know where this is going.
the American illusion is to believe
Uh-huh.
that there's this independent way, this
Mm.
boss chick way of life to
Uh-oh.
where I can just do, and maybe I'm sure they are, right? I'm sure we've all ran into a couple of ballers, right? On paper. When you start to look at the stats and you start to look at the numbers, you ask me how this is going to affect my business. Like I don't know if I want to tag Mike. I really don't market to our demographic like that. Like if they know me in passing, they know I can do a great job, so on and so forth. But there's so much attached to it because of the lack of trust from the woman specifically, right? They trusting stability of the male, whatever it is, the narrative pushes out there. And then for the men, we tend to abandon ourselves within this whole thing. We're just saying, okay, yeah, just have it, just take it, you know, whatever you say, happy as much men or red pill content that there is where there's this oh yeah, we're going on our own. Okay.
Mm.
When it comes down to signing these things and doing certain things, men will abandon themselves and
You
go
know,
ahead.
I'm gonna validate what you're saying. Like I have had plenty of and do plenty of male clients who are totally financially fine. Not everybody, but in my experience, right across the board, whether it's couples, singles, whatever, individuals or couples, and there are gonna be men who are financially fine, let's say set well off, whatever, and really will do is what you're saying, abandon self, like not um assert or hold on to really what they even like have the right to, like won't actually go through
Oh,
like a,
absolutely.
especially like when in cases of like, okay, they end up breaking up, divorce, don't go through like the legal, don't go through the legal process that they could go through in order to maintain what they could or have the right to. I've definitely seen. I'm not. This is not every man, but I've definitely seen what it is that you're talking about. Like it's just sort of like I just don't want to deal with the stress, the conflict. I don't want to go through it.
Absolutely.
This is Michael. Honestly, you have said so much. I think I've hardly had. You have really painted an interesting picture of what's going on out there, like beyond the numbers of who's buying what. You're talking about the relationship dynamics, and we can't help but to think about the lack of marriage. We don't have. I mean, marriage is so low. The rates are so low in the Black community. And so then, I'm thinking, well, then couples aren't buying together, right? And then so there's just at the root we have an issue. It's not even like, well, we don't have enough. People aren't buying enough houses or like it's like people aren't even getting married to go through the process and develop a relationship structure to even go in on that kind of thing together and live together and do the whole thing. I'm just kind of saying things as it's coming. I'm processing as you're talking. I'm like,
Here,
this
here,
this this
let's
seems very out of order.
I heard somebody say it's in total reverse to nature to the nature of things. Couples are buying properties together, right?
Uh huh.
You're not seeing the male more than likely listed on that property. And I'm not saying that a woman can't buy a property on her own. I don't, we can give as many, I can say it as easy as possible, but he may not necessarily be on the deed for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right. And let's be quite honest. And because I wanted to stay on real estate, our culture tends to be it's a serial there's serial monogamy going on, right? It's like there's every 2 to 3 years there's possibly a new relationship,
Mm-hmm.
right? When you're buying a home, we're talking about so I can see why you may not necessarily be put on the deed, because if my experience is that every 2 years, 2 to 3 years, I may get a different partner, right? Or even 7 years, I may get a different partner, right? Like we're in these long-term relationships and we're not thinking about marriage for whatever reason. Like, why would we put our names on something that's going to be 30 years?
But why would you give? I've been trying to keep my opinions out of this because you've been putting a lot of just laying the groundwork here. I'm trying to keep my opinion out of it. But I'm like, well, but why would you put the money up for the house
Why
then?
would a male do it?
Yeah.
Because he's supposed to, right? Like,
Michael, I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna clip. I'm gonna let you know right now. I'm
you're
gonna clip
you're
that.
you're you're, you're you're essentially socialized to, right? Like a male is socialized to. The question then becomes for me, which this is the question I will pose to somebody, and I heard the minister say recently, or not recently, he said it a while back in a lecture. He said, our number one enemy is ignorance,
Hmm.
right? So because I'm not out of this number, right? At this point in time, I'm probably out of the loop, right? I'm 43 years old, been doing this for a while, so on and so forth. So I've reached this, but I've gotten so much information. Ignorance being your number one enemy. When I first bought that house, my mother was the one who said, "You need to make sure your name is on the deed."
Hmm.
Right? Like
Because you
like
bought it, just for people who don't know, you bought that with your partner at
your
the time.
partner at the time. We're 20, 21 years old, right?
And he said
Had
you need to make sure your name is on the
that
deed.
this is the information that was given. My
Yeah.
father probably wouldn't even think about that, but my mother
Mm-hmm.
made sure that was that to make that happen, right? And then it's not until you start to become a professional, you're dealing with real estate, so on and so forth, you understand the importance of it. We went from a 2 to 3 page, and this is before my time, of course. My mentor is 88 years old, so he talks about it. We went from a 2 to 3 page contract, right? When you signed at closing for title or etc. 2 to 3 pages. So now you're going to be at the title office for 30, 40, minimum probably 30 to 40 minutes, probably an hour or something,
Hmm.
especially if you want to be this stuff to be explained to you, and putting your name on something, because we've become this litigious society. We've become so invested in money, right? And believing that this money is going to bring us stability, so on and so forth, and haven't really worked out a lot of the other things that go along with it. Like, where's this mistrust coming from? Because truth be told,
Come on, tell it.
a lot of this mistrust is projection. It's people telling you, like, if you're it's people telling you that this happened to them, right?
My
and
goodness.
and so now this could happen to you. Well,
Here,
I'm going to tell you what could happen to you, because I know we're coming up on our time.
we got to do a part two, three, because you
Right.
you got to talk about family court. You got to talk.
Right.
Go ahead, Michael.
So when we get to talking about this 60 to 70-year old woman, right? Single woman. Like, and they say, well, men are dying lonely. It's always been that way. It's always Men have always died alone. I don't know. I don't know if you all understand that or not. But if you look at the numbers and the stats in history, right? Men have died alone. Men, the typical man is a resource for the government, for war, for whatever. Like, these things happen. So
My
when
goodness.
you look at men or living by themselves, like, this has always happened. We've never had a time now, up until now in modernity, to where women, this is what's happening to women, right? So you get to a point where a woman is 67 years old, if she doesn't have a partner, right? She's done it on her own. She's worked hard, because no one's saying that you don't work hard to earn
Hmm.
whatever it is that you have.
Hmm.
Um, Everything is still going up, but your pay hasn't, right? So everything is a little bit more expensive. I think a lot of, especially, and I think it's a generational thing. I think not the boomers, Gen X's probably, to me, did probably a little bit better job of taking care of their parents.
Hmm.
Um, Us millennials, Zennials are decent. I know that's a whole interesting category, but once you get to probably 87, 90, and on up, these people want to live their life, right? Like, they want to do what they want to do. And there was a lot of things that happened in the last 30 years between, you know, mothers and their children, to the point where they're just like, they don't want, some of them, like, this is the first time you've seen people who are openly saying, like, I'm abstaining from talking to my parents.
Right. The cutoff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the cutoff. So now you're 70, you're thinking that there may be help or there's going to be something coming around the corner, and there's possibly not.
So
So
what?
now go
Let's
ahead.
land, let's land here. What's happening to the women? Because again, median wealth with college educated single women age 60 and older is $11,000. What is happening when the money runs out and and maybe the care is there, maybe the care is not with kids or family? What's happening?
I've sat, and the one just comes to mind specifically. And normally they'll look at me as a son, right? So because I'm there and I'm helping us work through this transaction, whatever it may be. And there's a lot of emotion and tears going on. Like I did this for my, for my if they even have it, right? Because some don't. But I
Yeah.
did this for my offspring. I did this for X, and O,
Mm,
and they're either not capable or they don't want to take on this thing. Like some are like, maybe if I sell this, I can move in with them. Now they have to think about like, is that even an option? And
mm,
you're finding out that it's possibly not. So, here in Florida, we got a lot of 55 plus condos
mm-hmm,
and communities that tend to be a lot more affordable. They're also getting more expensive. So when you
mm-hmm,
start to see the, and if you were helping, like say you were even helping your children, right? You took out loans on your property in order to pay for college, possibly pay for a car, anything that possibly could have happened. Now you're sitting there with this, I'd like to. You said the stat was 11,000. I'd like to. That's for non-homeowners, I would imagine, right? Like
good
I
question. It
think,
wasn't. It wasn't.
yeah,
That
yeah.
wasn't
I would
included.
imagine it's for
Because yeah.
non-homeowners.
Well,
But
huh.
however, you're still talking about even if you were a homeowner. Let's say you caught it in a decent market, right? Where it's a decent seller's market, and you can pull out. You can sell the property and have
Mm-hmm.
$150,000. If you're 60 or 70, how much more time do you have to live?
Yeah, you got about another 20 years.
Right. So now are we even talking like can you retire at that point in time? Is is it are you able to have that happen? Most people you'll find that they're not. Right? You'll find that you hit about 65, 70, and I got it still going. I'm a man. Me personally, I don't even know what retirement is. So I plan on not retiring. But when you look at people who thought that
Mm.
hey, when I turn 60 to 65, I'll have this
Yeah.
available to me. And if you're delaying the purchase of a property, you're delaying getting married, you're delaying doing this, or divorce happens, death happens, whatever it is that could happen, and you're sitting at 65, 70, believing that you could retire, it's gonna be tight, right?
My goodness. This was an eye-opening conversation. We're gonna wrap here, but not on that low note. Even though it's real, can't we gonna act like it's not real, but can you give in a nutshell, because I really do have to, I've gotta go.
Yeah, yeah,
In
absolutely.
a nutshell, can you give like what is your best advice for women specifically? Because just I think just yesterday I asked on the podcast, you may have heard me say it. I said, do you think there's any difference in women aging this way and men aging this way? Because I think just like you were saying a minute ago, it's different for a woman to be 65 years old and a man to be 65 years old, and what that means in terms of like their work or their like their the general life experience or what's needed for a man compared to a woman. I mean, it's different. And so, and there's layers and all kind of layers of that. But so let's talk about for women, because I think what I'm getting at is women are more vulnerable. I think that's simply what I'm saying. That women are more vulnerable at every point in life. And I wish y'all, I gotta go. I cannot go down this rabbit hole. I wish we would just start acknowledging that. Okay. That doesn't mean not valuable. That doesn't mean not strong. That doesn't mean, but dang, like I know I'm more vulnerable. Okay. And especially as we get older. Okay. I'm not afraid to say I need some cover. I need a covering, please. Okay, and thank God that I have one. But let's what's your best advice for women
Oh,
who, let's just say, need it more because because of these vulnerabilities and the and financial state that women end up in as they age. Um, Generally speaking, that's not very good. So, what's the best advice that you have to avoid these pitfalls?
you know, teamwork makes the dream work,
Come on.
right? Teamwork makes the dream work. I would actually take a look at um who you're looking at as a model in life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, See if what they have going on, your values and their values are the same.
Mm-hmm.
Stop thinking in being the exception, like something's going to happen, right? Like all of a sudden I'm gonna hit a windfall or something like that kind of thought process.
Yeah.
And start really weighing like what have your outcomes been, where you are now, and then and where you would like to be in the future,
Mm-hmm.
right? And hey, if you don't mind working forever and whatever, that if that's your north star, then absolutely go for it.
Oh no no no
However,
no no no.
however, I would really gauge that. I would
Mm-hmm.
look at gauge and say, okay, well, what's really going to bring me joy, and what are the outcomes we've seen before? I don't want that. Well, what are my options? What are my best options? Really
Being
take a look at yourself.
pragmatic, being realistic.
Yeah.
Michael, I love this because I love this for so many reasons. This is such a good conversation. I'm so excited for people to hear this. But the one thing I loved about this conversation is you are so clearly the expert here, and I'm so used to being the expert. Okay, talking about stuff. I love that I could sit back and just you have just taken this away and have given so much good information and have really led this conversation to where we needed to go. I mean, because this is not my field, clearly. So I just really appreciate you getting on here and sharing so much. I love hearing your expertise. Um, I I feel I'm learning something. I mean, y'all can tell this is not my normal stance on a video. Like I'm like Michael, like help me, help us. Like, what do we do? So I just really appreciate your time. I'm like, we
Yeah.
need to get you on a do a workshop. We need you talking to people.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I know that this is going to help people. So I appreciate you.
And I appreciate that, Taylor. Listen, keep doing what you're doing. I support you. Love the content. I don't agree with everything, right? But definitely alignment with the direction that you're headed. So man, I appreciate you allowing me to come on, and um I'm as much as it's been said, I'm positive about the outcome of the future, right? So
Mhm.
that'll be it, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael. Y'all have a great night. Bye, y'all.